Good evening, everyone, and I'll call this January 14th, 2019 regular council meeting to order. First of all, under presentations, as is the practice, is my opportunity to give the 2019 mayor address. First of all, I would like to thank council, management, staff, and our community for their continued advice and support. In 2018, I'll try to keep this somewhat chronological. In 2018, we hired a new land development manager, Richard Newfield. Richard will be working with council and staff to update our official community plan. Thank you, Richard, for your efforts. We also thank our community for their feedback on the plan surveys. Unfortunately, early on in the year, we had to close and dismantle the Civic Auditorium due to the inability to obtain insurance. We will be undertaking a recreational needs assessment this year to get necessary input from our community and other stakeholders on options moving forward. We were proud to host the SaskTel Tankard in February, which was a great event and a huge success, thanks to Devin Fornwalt, Helen Fornwalt, Leah Moriarty, Pauline Grimsrud, along with Pam DeChef, and of course all the volunteers for a great job. Well done. We thank them all. Early in the year, council agreed to allow a marijuana dispensary in Estevan, it took a while, but which was opened this past December. Alice Cooper and John Mellencamp were the two concerts held at Affinity Place, and both were well attended. The horrific Humboldt bus crash in April gave us all time to reflect and come together as a community. A vigil was held at the multi-purpose room at the Leisure Centre, which was well attended. Our thoughts and prayers go to all the families impacted by this tragedy. We held an open house at the multi-purpose room in the summer to get feedback on planned improvements to the leisure facility weight room. I think sometimes Councillor Hoffer thought maybe it got a little bit heated, but it was a good meeting. Through this consultation, a committee was struck with users of the weight room, and we have begun to implement many improvements. Work was completed on the medians on Souris Avenue North. This was a large project, and the results look great. Thank you for all those people involved. Also, we were happy to see the completion of the resurfacing and rehabilitation of King Street from Pine Avenue to Kensington Avenue. The Federal Task Force on the Future of Coal was in Estevan in June, and a report was to be forthcoming in December. Still no word, so we'll keep you updated on that. In the fall, we had to reject the tenders for the water intake project to Rafferty Dam, with the price coming in $6 million over budget. We continue to work on this project with our engineering group, our local people, and the province. On a happier note, we were able to promote Trudy Firth to City Treasurer last year. She has assumed the role nicely. Our MP, Robert Kitchen, held an open house in September at the Beanfate Legion on the future of coal-fired electricity in Saskatchewan. Lots of good comments came from this meeting. Now that we have had the announcement of Units 4 and 5 closing at Boundary, we have been in touch with Minister McKenna's office, the Minister of Environment in Ottawa, trying to set up a meeting with her to encourage signing the equivalency agreement, which would give us a few more years, with Unit 4 until 2021, Unit 5 until 2024, instead, if we don't get the equivalency, having to close these units at the end of 19. SPC has said they will absorb the job losses through attrition, but at the coal mine, we're looking at up to 100 jobs lost if we cannot get the equivalency agreement. We will keep you posted on that as well. On an optimistic note, the equivalency agreement has been gazetted and will be open for 60 days for comments, and then a decision will be made. So it is looking positive on that end. We were able to go to Torquay last year and tour Deep Earth's first well for geothermal energy production. Congratulations, Kristen Marcia and her team, for a job well done. Also last year, congratulations were in order for St. Joseph's Hospital 80th anniversary. Congratulations, Greg and team. In December, we were also proud to host the Home Hardware Canada Cup, another resounding success. Thank you to Helen and Devin Fornwald, Tyler McMillan, Pauline Grimsrud, Diane Wenham, our staff, and of course all the wonderful volunteers. The Angel Tree program was another success. Thank you, Shar Seaman, your team, along with our community, including fire and police services. Thank you again. Also, another successful Festival of Trees to support St. Joseph's Hospital. Thank you, Travis, Greg, and everyone involved. On another note, we understand the frustrations around the inability to build needed pipelines in our country. We continue to advocate for pipelines which are the safest way to get our product to market. Moving forward in 2019, some of the things we are looking at, which have to be passed through budget, which will be open tomorrow, starting tomorrow, we will release it to the public and the press. We will allow it to be read and get feedback for 2 weeks, and then after that we'll have a meeting and make the necessary decisions. So in 19, we're looking at continued infrastructure improvements, work toward finishing Rafferty Water Pipeline, expansion of the aging police station, continued improvements to our parks, continued debt repayment, and of course the needs assessment to give us a better understanding of what our community should have for recreation. These are some of the main areas that we remain focused on and would like to hear from our stakeholders in our community on further suggestions. Thank you all, and may you have a healthy and prosperous new year. So with that, could I have a motion, please, to accept the adoption of the agenda? Councillor Hoffert, seconded by Councillor Yanish. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, could I have a motion, please, to accept the minutes of the council meeting held on December 17th, 2018. Councillor Groba, seconded by Councillor Moore. Any questions or comments on that? If not, all in favor? Carried. Next, under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we have the...
Your Worship, I'm going to call a conflict because I'm employed by Creighton Lodge.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Broba. I was going to mention on the Creighton Lodge request curbing replacement. So let it be noted, since Councillor Broba works there, she has taken a powder. So what's the wish of council on this request? The request is for $25,000. They were getting cement work done anyway in the vicinity of Creighton Lodge, along with some other improvements. And they decided at the time, because it was cheaper to get that curbing done, and they would like council's indulgence on, I'll read it out. I'm writing this letter in regards to the curbing at Creighton Lodge that was replaced during the parking lot repairs in the fall of 18. In August of 18, the manager for Creighton Lodge asked the City of Estevan to help with the cost of replacing the curbing at Creighton Lodge. Creighton Lodge was repairing their parking lot at the time, and it was an ideal time to replace the curbing that was destroyed. We were told that the city had no money left in the 18 budget to replace the curbing at that time, which had been in dire need of replacement. Due to the ideal time and some verbal conversations, Creighton Lodge replaced the curbing for a price of $25,000. We understand due to time restraints and last-minute decisions to replace the curbing, there was no time for formal discussion. However, the Creighton Lodge Management Committee would like to formally request that the city add the curbing into the 2019 budget and reimburse the $25,000 that was spent replacing the City of Estevan's curbing located at 1028 Hillcrest Drive. Thank you for your understanding. Monica Kovach, Creighton Lodge Committee Chair. So what's the wish of council? Councillor Nibbs.
Just a little clarity, what would have been the cost if we had done this project? Did we know that?
City Manager, do we have any idea? I would suggest it might be a little more. City Manager, what do you think?
Thank you, Councillor Nibbs, Your Worship. Obviously, if we did something like that, we would go through either the tendering process or use our quotes that we had done. Without knowing how the Creighton Lodge obtained their contract or what happened, I wouldn't be able to tell you that. Sorry.
Yeah, the reason I say that, Councillor Nibbs, is because all of the equipment was already there.
Right.
So we didn't have mob and demob costs, so it was probably a little cheaper, I would think, but yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, I do think it is a nursing home and well used in this town, so I'd be in favor of that, but see what everyone else thinks.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments, Councillor Hoffer?
Thank you, Your Worship. The timing of this is, we've been through our budget deliberations, however, we haven't passed the budget yet, and it's now going out for community
That's right.
consultation, and then at some point, we'll finalize the budget in the next month or two, and then ultimately finalize it when we set the mill rates, I guess. But his management had a chance to look at this, where would this fit in the budget, and, you know, what would come from the budget. I mean, I'm always in favor of supporting Creighton Lodge, that's for sure. It provides a valuable service. Is there any, can we get a little more information on that? And I don't know that, does this have, you know,
I'm sure, Councillor Hofford, if you like, we could get further feedback from our people in time before we make the final decision. City Manager?
Thank you, Your Worship, to Councillor Hofford. So I think based on the budget that were proposed to council, you would either just increase your borrowing of the 25,000 or use a cash reserve from the end of 2018 to cover this funding if council would wish to move forward. Would it be-
so it would, we wouldn't, in your opinion, it wouldn't be to cut something else, it would be to, it would just affect our net debt at the end of the year by 25,000.
That's correct, Councillor Hofford. Obviously, there is some capital projects noted to council that they could definitely cut those by that amount if they wish.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Worship. Just to let you know, the Creighton Lodge itself has put a lot of money into not only the building, but we paved the parking lot and the road to the back of the building in the tune of 300 plus. And so at the time we were thinking it was the proper time to do it because the people were there, and I can assure you that we did put it out for tender, and the prices were as fair as we thought they could get. And the 25 that we as citizens of the city, I think that it's money well spent. We are trying to make the property well looked after and well make it
Well
look nice.
maintained,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so there was no doubt that that was the proper thing to do at the time, and I feel that the 25 is well spent. I mean, if we didn't, we'd have been accused of why wouldn't you complete the job. So Creighton Lodge themselves spend a lot of money trying to keep things up, and this spring it'll be another big ticket because we got some roof problems. So the city, if they spend 25 to do the curb, I think that's fair to everybody, but that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Moore. And yes, they do a lot of great work over there with their volunteers and,
Yeah.
and with all the support they get. And I know the tenants that are there can't say enough about the lodge.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Hopper?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship, and appreciate the comments, Councillor Moore. You're absolutely right. What has occurred to me as you were mentioning this is many projects in our city we partner with the surrounding rural municipalities, and if memory serves from my days with Creighton Lodge, I would suggest there are many rural municipalities that we are often partnering with on one project or another that put this kind of money in annually into Creighton Lodge, whether it's for roof repairs or, as Councillor Moore mentioned, the parking lot, et cetera. And so I think given that this facility is in our city and that there are many other contributing surrounding rural municipalities, it would be the proper thing to do to support this. And if you're interested in moving this tonight, I'd be happy to make that a resolution.
Okay, I think that would be fair, given the comments here this evening, that we move it forward, and it'll be incorporated into the 2019 budget. So do we have a motion? Councillor Hofford, seconded by Councillor Yanish. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Councillor Yanish, would you mind allowing Councillor Vroba back into chambers, please? Let it be noted that Councillor Vroba has entered chambers again, please, City Clerk. Thank you. Moving forward under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we have the 2019 appointments. Council has had time to review. We haven't had a lot of negative discussion, so I take everyone's happy with their positions. Councillor Hoffer?
Yeah, just one correction that we'll need on here, Your Worship. I noticed on the Woodlawn one, if I can find it here quickly, we had our fourth representative, which we typically appoint with the input from the golf course. The Ward Tuttle appeared on there, and he is there suggesting we replace that with Estevan Kitchen, who has been to the board, and I think everyone will agree that he would be a fine appointment there. And sorry for the late notice. I didn't read that part of the package until yesterday, so if we could make that change, I think it would be fine. Ward has moved on from the board and resigned, but Estevan Kitchen will be a fine replacement.
Okay, that's great, thank you. City Clerk is writing as she speaks, so that shall be done.
So that would make Councillor Moore and myself, Larry Preddy as a member at large, and Estevan Kitchen as the Woodlawn City appointment based on the Woodlawn Golf
Okay,
input.
thank you for that. Okay, Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Your Worship. Over the years, we have made a hard copy of this particular information. I'm wondering if we could, again, it's just a quick reference rather than having it, because sometimes you're out in the public and somebody will say, just who's on that board? Because who can I talk to other than yourself or whatever? And
Absolutely.
And, so if we could maybe do that again, and we just have it, it's a good handbook.
Sure, we can make that happen. Would you like it plasticized?
Yes, it would.
Both sides?
No,
Okay.
no, just plain paper.
Okay, no problem.
16 pound.
16-pound paper, okay, thank you, consider that done. Okay, moving forward, under written reports of committees, this evening we'll be picking two members.
You have to approve the appointments.
What?
You have to approve the appointments.
Oh, okay, thank you, City Clerk, I stand corrected. We'll need a motion on the appointments, please. Could we have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Nibbs, seconder. Okay. Councillor Frank, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, City Clerk. Next, under written reports of committees, we have this evening election of the two Board of Police Commissioner members at large. So at this time, we'll have the City Manager and the City Clerk pass out the necessary documentation. Check 2 of the 4 places. Whether you put a check mark or an X, I would suggest an X so everyone's the same, but if someone wanted to be different, I'm sure that a check mark would be honored. Okay, oh, let me just fold it again.
Is there a certain way you'd like to fold this?
Yes, 4, please. Otherwise, your vote might be conspicuous, but it'll still be held in confidence. One more time, Dan. One more time.
Fold it twice.
And this, let it be noted, is an official City of Estevan cap that we use for these procedures. On sale at the visitor information. Thank you, City Manager.
That's budget cuts cost us, that's made us go to a hat.
Exactly. Much cheaper, yeah. I'll take this opportunity to thank everyone that's applied for the Police Commission. We absolutely appreciate that. We need the input. It's nice to see so many people applying. Thank you for that. What's that?
The Jeopardy music.
Oh, the Jeopardy music, yeah.
I used to see a lot of applicants.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So, Your Worship, just to ask a question about the voting process, now, if this comes back as a tie, say there's 3 people with the same amount of votes, or however it
Then
is,
we take those people,
just those people and vote
just
again.
those people and vote again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Just like Survivor.
yeah.
And then you draw rocks.
Nobody starts fire the quickest.
Yeah. You gotta bring them all in right here. Actually, probably be putting it out on the police board though, wouldn't it?
Your worship, it sure was nice seeing 2 of our city members appear right in front of our prime minister to ask him questions on the weekend. And actually, it's made some pretty good news right across the country. So it's nice to see some of our citizens stepping up to
Yeah,
the plate.
taking the time,
Yes.
taking the time and effort to go to Regina.
I think I seen a post from Josh with the picture of Jason, the first guy in front of the door before the university opened. He was first man there, the both
Okay.
of them. So yeah, which was kind of neat.
No, it's great to see our community involvement, absolutely, in the democratic process, yeah. Well, I hope city manager and city clerk didn't have to take their shoes off. We may have to send city treasurer out to help.
I think you assigned the wrong person.
Right, should've put it on the account.
Yeah, we forgot to send the one that came.
Can't count. We're just kidding, everyone, please.
As long as we know they can't, but we know for sure she can.
Yeah, it's still on. You sing, Your worship?
Well, I hate to say it, but this is kind of a record that they've been out. Yeah.
You don't sing?
Oh, I sing, but horribly.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Maybe the door's locked.
Must have been close.
Trying to do the math in my head, my time to tie.
I think Councilor Moore must have folded his paper one too many times.
Can't get into it.
No removal budget has been on key.
I read that in our Estevan Mercury, that's
You
good.
definitely lost them. Yeah. Do you tell
Well,
them to come back, Roy?
City treasurer, would you mind?
Are they counting this at the tap house? or-
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe you weren't specific and said come back after. Post the results in the morning, we're going home.
I think they're trying to make the meeting longer for David.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dave, you were complaining the meetings aren't long enough, so.
There was a 3-way tie, so they're making new ballots.
Okay, so let it be noted, there was a 3-way tie, so now we'll vote again. There you go. So everyone can be happy, it was no pushover.
I want it noted, I did not talk to you guys at all.
This might be a pretty dress, isn't it? So, Your
It's all
Worship,
recorded.
there is a 3-way tie between Michelle Graff, Kevin Smith, and Bernadette Wright. So you will only get to vote once for one of those 3 members. So I'll be handing out new sheets, and you only pick one.
So the tie was for second?
This is the tie is for second.
Oh, now I'm
Aye,
getting
you
it.
second, okay.
Okay,
Do you wanna X again this time?
please. And again, the 4 times.
I will find who's stubborn, who won't change their vote.
Same phone?
They're cool.
They're still trying to
New
figure out.
palette.
I know, our side
Our
is
side's
all
been
done.
done. Perfect if
Yes, I noticed the perfect, we should have brought that up.
No
during the
union
break.
coffee breaks this time.
Perfect attendance, good folders, what can you say?
Yeah, you gotta use a calculator on last time, so.
So no one has to be embarrassed, this was a very tight race.
Do you not vote, Your Worship?
Do I vote yes?
How come you tried it?
Because you're voting for multiple.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
This time there's no chance,
No chance.
Well, yeah, 'cause
unless someone abstained.
Unless someone didn't vote, there'd be no chance.
I
We
wish
will
I
get a
could.
winner.
Just leave it one more time.
We will get a winner.
They come back with tires.
Or false evidence.
We'll have an inquest. You mean something will happen, then we'll have an inquest? Yes, Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a little food for thought. We would like to have everybody think hard about maybe having a new pool built down at Woodlawn Park. We need something to attract not just the campers, but the kids like it used to be. Where the money's going to come from, I guess we'll decide that as we go along, but we would really like to get the people thinking about that.
Are you serious?
There's another tie, we gotta make new ballots, two-way or three-way.
I thought you said you couldn't have another one.
Well, with 7.
Because it was
Yeah,
all,
but
there's
there's
three people in it, so there could be.
It's a
You
two-way
can have a
tie.
tie.
Oh my God.
Are we narrowing down to one person?
Well, this is exciting. This has never happened in the history of the city of Estevan. Dave, this is gonna, there you go. And radio, Sarah, never happened. You have to like this.
Change your vote.
First time in the history of it.
We know next time,
They're only
Yep.
gonna give you 2 people this time.
yeah, 2 people, there can't be a tie now.
Wow, this is heavy news.
Heavy news. The phones are all going off. Everyone's getting excited.
Mine's not.
Sure is better than last year's acclamation. Find out who was first.
Actually, every time someone phone goes off, I always think I forgot to tell my husband it was council tonight. He's probably wondering where supper is.
I hear footsteps.
Jeff was exhausted already.
Your Worship, there is now a two-way tie. It is between Michelle Graff and Bernadette Wright. You will have to choose one of these two.
Okay. Thank you very much. At least it's a different color every time.
That must be a legal requirement.
In case there's an audit.
Yes, thank you. Everything is sealed. Yeah, for 20 years.
Next year, we're gonna have to do this like the provincial leadership races.
With machines.
We need the computer.
Yeah.
What do you want first? Do you want second?
Yeah.
Well, take forever to tabulate.
Mhm.
The good news is I'm following Dave on Twitter and he's making it like very intense race on there.
Oh, good. And that horse race, while we're talking about this, Councillor Frank, could you maybe put in a plug for the
Yeah,
horse race
absolutely.
coming up at the
Actually-
art gallery?
Have 2 things coming up. The art gallery has their horse derby coming up again, so that's I'm gonna confirm the date. Do you have that with you there?
I'll get it here right away.
Oh, you know what? I have it. It is February 9th, I believe.
February 9th, that's
February
right.
9th. So this is one of their very different fun fundraisers. You can buy a horse, they're $100. It's a wooden horse. You can dress it up however you want. Come out and it's kind of a dice game to see how far you get. There's they got the gambling license this year again, so that you can actually come and bet on which horse is going to win. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Thank you, Councillor Frank. And our horse is called Old Roy. And I bought the horse a few years ago. He started out really good, but he's getting
Started out
tired.
good, but I think it's
he's
time to
fallen-
put him down.
Trying to put him down. You didn't have to be quite so blunt, Councillor Frank, but we'll move on past that. So who have we got, City Clerk?
Your worship, it's Josh LeBlanc and Michelle Graff.
Okay, well, we congratulate Josh LeBlanc and Michelle Graff, and we thank everyone who was applied and who has applied, and hang your head high because it was a very close race. So we look forward to working with Josh and with Michelle, moving forward on the police board. So next, under written reports of committees, oh yes, could we have a motion to burn the ballots, please?
First, we have to.
Oh, first of all, accept and then burn the ballots. Okay, Councillor Yanish, seconded by Councillor Frank. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
You want my letter?
And then burn the,
Sure, I guess we should have a separate one to burn. So the first one is to accept the people who we've voted in. This one here is to burn the ballots.
Can you shred them?
No, it's burned.
Is there no environmental concern?
I guess, okay, let's say shred. Is shredding okay, City Clerk?
Shred the ballots.
Okay, due to environmental concerns, thank you for the lighter, Councillor Nibs, but we shall shred
We'd be paying carbon tax.
the ballots. We don't want to pay the tax. So who wants to make the motion on that? Thank you, Councillor Frank, Councillor Nibs, all in favor? Carried. They shall be shredded. Next, moving forward, under written reports of committees, we have the Remuneration Committee applicants. We've got Jeff, and for this one, we'll need 3. We've got Jeff Booz, we've got Monica Kovach, we've got Kevin Smith, and we've got Shirley Thera.
Oh, you got your own.
I don't need that.
The white hat, see the bar.
The white.
The white hat.
3. Yep, thank you. We're now using a white cap just to make sure that none of the other ballots stayed in, so we don't make any mistakes.
I didn't know I had to do 3. I thought I did 2.
No, sorry, 3.
I don't think instructions were real clear.
Okay.
And you can do this too. That helped me.
No problem.
Yeah.
3, okay.
Your worship,
Councillor
I was
Hopper?
just gonna mention since we're killing time at the moment, the Woodlawn Regional Park Festival of Lights wrapped up on January 7th. We actually held it open due to the popular demand. There was just a tremendous amount of traffic, and based on the number of vehicles and average people in the vehicles, we estimate over 10,000 people saw the Festival of Lights this year. So
Wow,
it was a great
fantastic.
improvement. It just a lot of work by the board and manager of Woodlawn Regional Park, and great response from the community in terms of more than double the number of sites this year. The quality of sites was improved, and already people talking about next year. So this is going to become a staple in our community.
That is
and
great.
just a wonderful thing. And we, instead of charging admission, we just put a free will offering box at the end, and the community was very generous to that. So that'll help cover a lot of the costs, and it will without a doubt be back next year. So look forward to
Super.
that.
Well, thank you for that, Councillor Hoffert, and thank you and Councillor Moore and your manager and all of the board for all of the hard work that went into that, because I know there was a lot of hard work, and I would like to thank our community for showing up and showing such great support. Councillor Nibs?
I did just want to say one thing, Greg, 'cause it was awesome. But with the donation box, I didn't actually see it until the 3rd time I went out there, and my son had said, it's right there. It needs to be bigger.
It was
and
tiny.
brighter. So
Yeah.
I did on the 3rd time leave a donation. First 2 times I thought it was free, and then they said, no, we got to put money in there.
Well, it wasn't mandatory, but yeah, for sure.
was really
I
nice.
think the second week we actually put a spotlight on it and
Uh-oh.
a layer sign, but
City manager?
There was a 3-way tie again, so
Are you serious?
how is that possible? That's great.
Wow.
Well, at least no one can say we're
No one can say that this was a cut deal behind the scenes beforehand, that's for sure. So again, here we are, 3-way tie.
Your worship, I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say that there had to have been at least 10,000 people that went through Woodlawn Park, because I live on Jubilee Place, and I think we had about 75 to 8,000, so.
Okay, well, that's
yeah.
great.
So we'll be back next year too.
Could you put
Super.
better lights on next year when we're driving past your place?
The Verb has actually participated this year. I'm usually the anti-Christmas house, but my husband did pull up his socks and get the lights up this year, so good for him, and as long as he's still there next year, he'll do it again.
Awesome.
Just kidding, he'll be there.
Why does it have to be up to your husband?
Okay,
The outside jobs.
thank you, Councillor Verba. Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to clarify the costs, we didn't want to or didn't think we were going to charge. It was the public that said to us, why aren't you charging? So that's how come we come up with the box. Next year, we'll put a barrel out there so you don't have to get out of the car, you can just throw it in, so.
Exactly.
I think it'd almost be worth opening that gate though, when they're coming in, just $2 or whatever.
Okay, City Clerk?
Three-way tie, Your Worship.
Okay,
So now you have to vote for there's three-way ties between Kevin Smith, Bernadette Wright, and Jeff Boats.
okay,
So you have to vote 2 out of the 3.
okay.
Want to say again, it can't be a tie?
Wow.
Vote for 2.
Mm.
Is it for first or second?
Excuse me?
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, City Manager has mine, yeah.
Oh.
Look at the service we got here. Our own.
I felt kind of peeked in on by him.
Like we stopped and there's a long line of cars behind us and stopped to go put the cash in the box and the guy behind us honked and then must have realized why we stopped afterwards and he could get out and put money in.
Good.
Well, that's good.
You set a good precedent.
A little guilty.
Well, it's even correct because I was like, it's free.
No, it's not. Just want to make it simple.
No, it's still worth it though.
It was solid, like we go down, we went up even at 5 o'clock to set everything up. Lots of cars there at night collecting money, lots of cars.
I can believe how many people were walking and cooking marshmallows and, you know, had fires and everything. Like it was just, oh, it was packed with people. So we got up and walked it the one time. You see a lot more when you walk it.
Yeah.
But it was like +2 out, so you couldn't have got no better weather.
Maybe I'll see if you will put one down there next year.
I was also gonna
The
mention,
donation box.
Yeah, that too.
Your Worship, the city of Estevan was very well represented. The city police had an entry in for the first time this year.
Yes.
The city yard crew, Norm Mack and the crew had a very nice site, and the fire department were one of the award winners, so it's all kinds of city representation, great to see.
Yes,
You
it's
might have to
great.
issue an official challenge to some of our surrounding municipalities next year.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Thank you, Councillor Hofford. And thanks to all our local people that did such a great job. It's a tie again?
No, that's a 3.
Okay, that's a 3. Just kidding. Okay, we have, for our remuneration committee applicants, we have Monica Kovich, we have Bernadette Wright, and we have Kevin Smith. So thank you all very much. First of all, could I have a motion that the ballots be shredded? Thank you. Councillor Yanish, seconded by Councillor Hoffert. All in agreement? Thank you. And next, that these members are members for the Remuneration Committee. Councillor Hoffert and Councillor Nibbs. All in agreement? All in agreement? Thank you. There we go. Thank you. Yes, I didn't. I'm getting better at that. So that is great. And thank you, City Clerk, for all of the steps that you have put on tonight. That is great. Awesome. Okay, next, moving forward, under executive reports, we have from Rod March, the RFP for Facility Needs Assessment. Now, this was tabled from last year. We're bringing it up because Council has decided to put this in the budget. So we will be looking at revisiting this, and proceeding with a recreational needs assessment. Do we need anything further on this, City Manager? I don't think so, do we? No.
Sorry, Your Worship, yes, as you mentioned, this was put out in 2018. At that point, council wasn't ready to make a commitment to do the study. There's been more discussion with the user groups, and council's made the decision to move forward with this. So the document does speak with all the costs were. The only thing to note is this, some of these quotes were for a specific time period, and because of the time that's lapsed, we'd still have to follow up. But I think we move forward with approval based on the assumption that these are the prices.
Right, and based on the quotes.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Grobe.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will just make the motion to go ahead with the
Okay.
assessment.
Thank you. With that recommendation, thank you, Councillor Frank. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you. Again, under executive reports from the fire chief, we have the incident reports for November 2018. You have them before you. Do we have a motion to accept these, please? Thank you. Councillor Yanish, seconded by Councillor Moore. Any further questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, from our building inspector, we have the building permit report for December 2018. Could we have a motion to accept these reports, please? Councillor Nibs, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Frank? Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under executive reports, we have from the water treatment plant manager, water quality report for December. Could we have a motion to accept this report, please? Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Nibs. Any questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Under introduction of bylaws, we have none this evening. Public hearings and reports, we have none this evening. Giving notice, we're giving notice that the 2019 budget will be released January 15th, which will be tomorrow, to the public as well, of course, to the press and radio, to all of our media. And we look forward to hearing all of your comments and suggestions. And then after that, council will be getting together with the intention of passing the proposed budget. Motions from committee, we have none this evening. Again, consideration of bylaws, none. Inquiries, Councillor Hoffer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just have an inquiry regarding our meeting we had in, was it late October, early November, with the Premier and Minister of the Environment and our local MLA, Minister of Highways. I just wonder if there's any formal response to any of our suggestions, concerns, requests, questions that we had that evening. Have we received any follow-up correspondence?
Actually, we have. It's in your package, in the information package, but I can read the letter that we got from Premier Moe.
Oh, great.
December 5th, His Worship Roy Ludwig, Mayor of Estevan. Dear Mr. Mayor, thank you for your letter of November 9th, 2018, and the opportunity to meet in October to discuss several issues in Estevan. I appreciate the proactive work Council is undertaking to ensure a strong future for the city. Our government is committed to working with you on future economic opportunities, including future power projects. Sask Power will ensure proposed projects in the Estevan area receive appropriate consideration as we move forward with future RFPs. Sask Power will also work with renewable energy proponents to ensure that they are aware of the opportunities in the area and the city's strong interest in developing opportunities. There are currently no meetings scheduled between any ministers, Federal Environment Minister Catherine McKenna. We will contact you if such a meeting is scheduled in the future, because the Premier had said that we would be part of that meeting. So thank you for taking the time to write. Sincerely, Scott Moe, Premier. And he is CC'd to the Honourable Dustin Duncan, Minister responsible for Sask Power. Go ahead.
Thank you. I wonder if it's worth a follow-up. At that meeting, we had requested that we receive a commitment that Estevan not be considered in a future RFP, but be actually the chosen site of a future RFP, given our location and the existing network of power lines that exist here to
The infrastructure
the
already in
infrastructure
place.
that's already here.
That's right.
And more importantly, given the economic impact that this is gonna create in our community and the negative economic impact when these plants are officially closed. And it's nice that it looks like they might be extended for a couple of years, but the impact is far greater than the 45 Sask Power jobs. That is a huge impact. And whether they handle that internally through attrition or through severance or through whatever, that's nice and that's very important for those members of our community. But those 45 jobs are then lost to our community, and that is a valuable, that in itself is an impact. You referred already tonight to the coal mining job. Think of the spin-off jobs of that lack of
totally.
people. It's
huge.
it's millions, it's many, many millions. And so one of our requests there was for, had there been an economic impact assessment completed by the province, and can we get a copy of that? And so I think that should remain a request and restate our need to not be considered for the next plant, but to be chosen the site of the next plant in an RFP. Since that meeting, there's been a plant announced for Moose Jaw that we weren't aware of until
that's
recently.
correct.
And so, you know, I think
Assiniboia,
it's.
I think, got a 200 megawatt wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think we should follow this up formally again and restate our request.
Okay,
Thank you.
perhaps, Councillor Hoffert, we can follow up through our MLA, Lori Carr, through to, and CC Dustin and Premier
Sure.
Mo as well.
Okay.
Okay, we can do that. Thank you. And I just want to add on this pipeline project, we've enlisted the help of our MLA, Lori Carr and Dustin Duncan, which there was some environmental, of course there always is on a project of this magnitude, and they're working very closely with our people to make this happen. So we do appreciate their help on that. Go ahead, Councillor Nibbs.
Just a question or a comment with what Greg had said. I was just curious if our MLA had said anything, because when they were here and Swift Current had been announced, they said nothing about Moose Jaw being given a power plant. Where is our MLA? I know there's obviously bigger things at play here that we're not, but where is she helping us and what has she done? Has she sent any letters, anything? I just find it really strange that they never came back with anything saying, hey, sorry, 2-3 weeks beforehand, they could have told us that this is gonna happen, but it was just in
Okay, well, thank you for that, Councillor Nibbs. And in this letter, we'll ask our MLA, Lori Carr, about you know, any other endeavors that perhaps she's pursuing on our behalf. Absolutely. Okay.
or what is being missed on
What-
our behalf.
Right.
No one came and discussed anything with our council or.
Right. So that we need more follow-up as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Anything else, Councillor Hoffer? Okay, Councillor Vrobe.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was just wondering if we have ever looked into putting stop signs in the hillside area at the uncontrolled intersections. I
We-
know that on December 31st, there was a pretty good car accident there. And there has been in the past, I've heard of other ones that have happened. And I just think other areas in town, I've tried looking for other areas that don't. You know, even our new areas stuff, we always put stop signs in. So why do we leave that area just without?
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vrobe. That's a fair question. We have looked into that. If we start doing every uncontrolled intersection, it's $800 a sign plus the labor to put that in. And the costs will rise exponentially. We were all taught in driver training to yield to your right. I know we've been having issues with some of our people that have trouble understanding that, which is unfortunate, but it is in the driver training manual. So I believe this is a case of the more laws, the less justice. If we're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars putting signage up at every uncontrolled intersection, and what's to say these people will still blow a stop sign?
But in all
it
fairness,
gets a little bit
SGI may also
cost
help with
prohibitive.
this, right? Like SGI it'd be interesting to find out how much money the hillside area, for example, costs SGI
But the
each
thing
year.
is, Councillor Vrobe, if we do hillside, we'll have to do every subdivision in the city. You can't stop at one. Why would you stop at
I've been
one?
trying to, I'll keep looking for the other subdivisions that have more uncontrolled intersections, but I was trying to find a few today. And I know over in my area in Hillcrest, they've all got stop signs or yield signs, and that's why I was starting to question why. in
Every
Hillside-
intersection?
Most of the ones I went through today, actually all of
Okay,
them.
well, if you like.
So I will find some, I'll keep
Okay.
looking throughout the city, but I was just inquiring as to why it seems Hillside doesn't have any, and have we ever talked about maybe it's time to start looking at putting some in? If it's $800 per intersection, you don't have to have 4 stop signs, you can just have 2 on the side that you want them to stop. And
Well,
maybe
that's
SGI would
1,600
help
for that
us.
one intersection.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if we did a few every year, but maybe SGI would help us too. It's gotta be costing them money to have these accidents.
Okay, well, I tell you what, why don't you allow me with,
Traffic board?
with your agreement to refer to the traffic board
Yes.
and the police
Yes,
board.
100%.
And then we'll get back with their feelings from both boards. Is that
Perfect.
fair?
Yes,
Okay.
fair enough, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Yanish. Okay, Councillor Frank, Councillor Nips, Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Worship. It's been asked by the public as to why we don't enforce the sidewalk cleaning with the bylaw we have in place. And mostly in homes that are up for sale, and nobody seems responsible for moving that particular 50 or 60 feet of snow off the sidewalk. And I think we maybe should pay a little more attention to those particular places and ask who's in charge or who should be responsible for doing that. So it's been going on for a while, and you know yourself, we haven't had a whole lot of snow, but you get an inch here and an inch there, and nobody cleans it out. Pretty soon it's ice on snow. So
And
there's
you're
a lot of people
talking,
walk.
you're talking, Councillor Moore, mostly in the residentials?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we have a bylaw, and that would fall back to our bylaw officer. So if you like, I can give the chief a call, and we can concentrate on her doing that.
I think we should. I think we should, especially the areas, and I realize there's probably some elderly people that cannot do that, but at the same time, we have to have somebody do it, and sometimes a neighbor will help. But it seems the houses that are for sale are the ones that are getting elected, so, and we should just pay a little more attention and see if there is as big a problem as what's suggested.
Okay, thank you. I'll talk to the chief, and we'll see what we can do there.
Thanks.
Okay, city manager?
Nothing to add, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. City treasurer? Okay, city clerk?
Nothing, Your Worship.
Okay, well, with that, I guess we'll wish everyone a good evening, and do we have a motion to move into committee? Councillor Yanish, Councillor Frank, all in agreement? Thank you so much. We stand adjourned. Good evening.